USA Today National Coach of the Year?
Well, I felt like any description you want to say. I felt terrible this morning, and my phone started blowing up. The coaches telling me, but it was a neat deal, and I'm going to thank my team and the assistant coaches that practiced today. But coaches just benefit from great kids and great coaching staff, and I've been fortunate enough that they've made me look good for a long time, and I appreciate it.
You guys were asked the other day about the fact this program has a history, losing the semifinals of the ACC tournament, going to the NCAA tournament, and good things happen. You have a few guys who would do that a couple of years ago. How important is it for them to relay that message to the guys who did not experience that?
Well, I just remember we didn't get it done last year. I think I guess we lost in the finals last year. Is that right? I just try to point out to them that the season's not over with, and that we've had some really good teams lose at that stage that went on and did some great things. I think the younger guys can benefit from listening to Luke and Kenny, particularly being here 4 years. B-Rob's the first one that said it when they got in the locker room the other night about his freshman year. But you can say all you want, but the kids still have to step up and play, and I think they'll get that message from the older guys.
Kobe, Cam, and Luke are your highest scoring trio, I think, in like 10 years since the 09. I'm curious, do they compare favorably to that group as far as their ability to be explosive scorers, all three of them, in any given game?
A little different. I mean, we had the fantastic post player with Tyler. I mean, he dominated everything, and he gave everybody a lot more open shots because they had to concentrate so much on him. Cam and Cam and Wayne are very similar, that they're such good shooters. Ty and Kobe are similar because they have ability to push the ball, but it was a very balanced team there too, because Danny Green could come in and score a lot of points too, and Dion would get his. So that was probably, and I don't know for sure, probably a higher scoring team, and probably shot a higher field goal percentage as well. So it was a little easier, I think, for that team to score. Am I close on that, Steve?
With these guys, how do you think they've handled us carrying the offensive load when maybe, like you're saying, there isn't a fourth, fifth guy, like let's say in 09 that jumps out?
I mean, these three guys do the majority of the scoring, and I like it a lot better if you have three than I do one, but I like five better than I do three as well. But they've done a great job. I shouldn't say great job, because I'm after them for their field goal percentages too, because I want guys to be very efficient. But we've needed every point they've given us. There's no question about that. And could have used two more on Friday.
Kobe a couple of months ago said you didn't promise him a thing; he had to earn every minute of playing time. When did it first enter your mind that this guy could play point as a freshman, and what was the process of evaluation, and how quickly did that become obvious to you?
Well, the first time I thought about it was when I recruited him, because I thought he was really good. I mean, I saw him one game in high school have 5 dunks and 5 threes in the same game. That's a pretty good mix. But I think the biggest times were this summer when we got started practicing, and then practiced 3 or 4 times before we went to Nassau, that he just showed the ability that he could do these kind of things.
You spoke on the radio show about the rosters and lineups. What's the status, fitness-wise, of Sterling Manley and Leaky Black heading into Friday's game?
Better than they were last week, and I don't really know what to evaluate it any more than that. I would think that they're closer to being making me feel comfortable and putting them in a game now. I put Sterling in just for a couple of minutes, but again, the guys that are playing the majority of minutes for us now have done okay. They've 15 out of 17, and so it's a tough situation. But I'm not going to change something up unless a guy shows me that he's a lot better than the other guys, and neither one have done that yet.
Coach, what have the conversations been like with the seniors since the bracket reveal?
They were at my house on Sunday, and we had the whole team, but I haven't talked to them other than that. We practiced yesterday, but we didn't talk about it. I'm just trying to get better and tried to work a little bit at practice. We didn't talk to strictly the senior. Well, I will say this, at the huddle to start practice yesterday, I asked Kenny and Lucas, what's the most fun you've ever had in basketball? And they said to run to the national championship those 3 weeks. I said, well, we've got an opportunity to do something similar right here, but we've got to play great.
What are these practice like leading up to NCAA game?
Yesterday was not much. It was more shooting than anything. Today we'll do a little bit more. We held Cam out yesterday, and we'll hold Cam out today, just trying to take a little bit of workload off of him. Tomorrow will be a really good, hard, full practice, getting ready with the information on Iona. And then Thursday will be in front of the public. It'll be shooted up, that kind of thing. But we'll go to another location and get a little work done. But yesterday, I think we had 2 drills, and the rest of it was shooting the entire time.
Roy, Kobe said entering high school he was pretty much just a spot-up shooter. And that wasn't until he got into high school that he realized that he could be dangerous pushing tempo. When did you see that transformation with him, and did you expect him to be able to reach the point where he's at now?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I recruited him. I thought he could push the pace like I like for it to be pushed, and that's one of the things we saw 3 or 4 or 5 point guards in his class, but I liked him better than any of them. And not only could he push it, he could finish when he got there. Some guys can push it, but they can't make the play. And he can do that. And again, the versatility of being able to shoot the ball as well. And I think he's good defensively. He's gotten a lot better defensively, and is going to be able to do some good things for us there too.
What do you, excuse me, I'm sorry. What do you remember about the first time when you met Steve Robinson? What do you like about him?
He lied to me. That's the thing I remember the most. He told me he was big on fruit, and then I found out later it was apple pie, cherry pie, stuff like that. That's what I remember the most. We met upstairs in what used to be my old office when I was an assistant here. And Jerry Green had knew him a little bit and told me he thought I ought to talk to him. So I called Steve, and he was down in Charlotte for the one of the summer camps, and I was back here a couple of days getting things cleaned out, and I met him in the office upstairs for a couple of hours, and went home that night and told Wanda I thought I was going to hire him, and she questioned a little bit, and I said I had a great feel for him, and I've made some pretty good decisions in my life on gut feelings, and that may be the best one I've ever made.
I think it was last night on the radio show that you said the practices leading up to the NCAA tournament in 09 and 17 were for the best of the season. What is it about these practices? Is it just that it's finally tournament time and the players focus more?
Well, in 09, it was dramatically changed. They concentrated so much more defensively. I mean, that was the whole thing. And in 17, I didn't just mean this week. Every week in practice, we got better and better and better is what it was in 17. But 09, dramatically, their concentration on the defensive end of the floor that we hadn't had until that point, to say the least.
Roy, last 4 years, UNC's had 3 number 1 seeds and a number 2 seed. If you go back 4 to 5 years, a lot of the conversations we were having in here were about kind of the difficult times that you were having, health-wise, NCAAs, Coach Smith passing, those types of things. Is there any correlation in the difficulties of that period and how your most recent teams have performed?
You know, I think when things are tough, when there's some negative things around, when things are happening to people you really care about, I think you dive into 2 areas. You dive into your family a little bit more, and you dive into your work a little bit more. And my work is something that I love, and I think I tried to focus even more on just the coaching part, just to work with the kids, just the recruiting, and enjoyed the times that I was able to get away perhaps, but I really tried to focus on something that you can control. And, I've called it the stuff or the junk. I forget which one. I used to alternate them. I tried to remember which press conference I said junk and which one I said stuff, but it was not a very pleasant time. It was not very pleasant, some things people were saying or doing, but you got to get through it and move on. And I was proud of the fact that I could stay focused and could keep our kids focused on trying to be the best basketball team we had.
For the 3 number 1 seeds for the conference, anything that you guys take any pride in? And how does this season in the ACC stack up with the others that you guys?
Well, the last time it happened, that league exploded. So I don't know if I'm going to get too caught up in anything. I'm not going to go have a drink or anything. I don't do that. But I think that we have a great deal of confidence and pride in our league, and we should have. That tremendous coaches, tremendous players, tremendous enthusiasm for the game, and working extremely hard. And you know that every night you go play, you got to bring your A game or you're not going to win. So we all have a lot of pride in the entire league from top to bottom on that part of it.
Coach, what do you expect from Iona in the first game as like game style?
One of my assistants has got the scout, and I haven't seen any game yet. And I'll watch probably a tape tonight or tomorrow night. I usually do it the night before, 2 nights before, but we've got a little more time this week. I know Tim. He was Danny Green's high school coach, and really an easy guy to deal with at that point. And I've watched his career and seen what he's done. I watched a few minutes of the conference tournament game when they were playing against King Rice's team. I watched part of the game last year. I think they played King's team again last year for it. But 5 guys that can shoot the ball. They like to push the pace. A few years back, they led the nation in scoring. So I think it'll be an up and down game, but you never know until the game starts actually what it's going to be. But they'll push the pace, probably shoot a lot of threes during the course of the game. Open court more than a post-up game.
You've had to do this a couple of times. Is it difficult to coach against someone that's been on your staff or has played for you? And how do you deal with that?
It's hard. You know, it's hard preparing for the game because people are asking you questions. You think about it, but once the game starts, even all the way back to '91, before some of you people were almost born, I decided I was never going to look down the bench at Coach Smith. I never looked at him one time during the game. And did the same thing in '93, and I've tried that, and it's helped me, whether it was against Jared or CB or whoever it was against, and that's the way I've looked at it, the same way I looked at it when Maryland, when Mark Turgeon was here. I just won't look at the other bench.
Couple more folks.
Can you talk about Kenny Williams' importance on defense and what his defense and guarding the best player is?
Well, you said it right there. I mean, every game he's got the best perimeter scorer, so he's being asked to do that every single night. And perhaps that has affected his offense a little bit, except I asked him to do it last year too, so he should be used to it kind of thing. But his defense, matter of fact, was probably better last year than it has been this year. But his assist-to-error ratio and some other things that he has this year is better than it's been in the past. It takes more charges than anybody. It likes the challenge of trying to cut down a guy's percentage, knows that the great scores that he guards, you can't stop them, but the best thing you can do is cut down on percentage and hopefully make them take a couple of shots that will lead to run-outs or fast break opportunities for you. And very enthusiastic, very much a team guy, and one of the leaders on our team, and a guy that I've really, really, really enjoyed having him around.
Were you shocked when he wasn't on the all-defensive team?
Yeah, but, you know, there's 60 people voting, you know, and they may not see everything or look at everything, and some of them may not take it as seriously as other people do. But he's on my all-defensive team, and that's when it counts.
You mentioned earlier something about Kobe getting better defensively. What 1 or 2 areas has he gotten better? And what was maybe a turning point in that process for him?
Well, I don't think there's been a turning point. He's just gotten a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. He's got great feet and his size, you know, 6'4.5", 6'5", but he doesn't mind getting up into somebody. He's just got to be careful because he doesn't want to pick up senseless fouls. But I think he's gotten better and better and better all year long in every phase. One thing that I'd love for him to do is to get inside and maybe box out one of the big guys a little bit more, because his guy's getting back for defensive balance. And there was a key play in the Duke game. He stood there, and if he had gotten involved in the box out, maybe we'd have gotten it, and they wouldn't have gotten 2 points. So, you know, we've had some great guards that would do those kind of things. Marcus Page, or way back to Jimmy Black, that would go box out a big guy, and that'll be the next step for him too.
Last one.
Garrison took his first charge the other day, and you said earlier in the season you wanted to see more charges being taken by your big man. What have you seen out of him and his progression defensively? I know he's won a bunch of Defensive Player of the Game awards.
Well, it's the first one he's ever freaking taken, so I didn't jump up and salute him or anything, but I was really happy for him. And he looked over the bench and grinned, and I knew what he was thinking. He knew what I was thinking. But I hope that's the first of many to come, because he's been a really solid defensive player for us. And I think as a big guy, if you're not a shot blocker, you need to be able to do that to protect the rim, and I think he'll be better and better at that as we go along.